I am Lane, a 32-year-old software developer who believed Amanda was the one for me. We were together for 3 years building what I thought was a solid relationship with a future. That was until one night at my friend Jake's birthday party when I accidentally overheard her talking to her friends. Her words cut through me like glass. Lane is safe and stable, but I am definitely settling. I could replace him tomorrow if I wanted to. Those careless words shattered everything I thought we had. Before I tell you how I rebuilt myself after those devastating words and why she eventually begged to have me back, drop a comment about where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have ever had to walk away from someone who did not value you. I first met Amanda at my college friend Ryan's housewarming party 4 years ago. She stood out immediately in a crowd of 30 people confidently discussing politics with a group of strangers. With her wavy brown hair, striking green eyes, and infectious laugh, I was drawn to her instantly. When Ryan finally introduced us, I felt a connection that I had rarely experienced before. Amanda works in marketing for that new fitness app everyone is using, Ryan explained. Lane here is one of my oldest friends and the most dependable guy I know. He could probably debug your entire company's software in a weekend. Amanda smiled politely, but I noticed her eyes scanning the room as if looking for more interesting conversation. Still, I persisted, and by the end of the night I had made her laugh several times and secured her phone number. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant downtown, where I had carefully made reservations after learning Italian was her favorite cuisine. I listened intently as she talked about growing up in Boston, her competitive swimming background, and her ambitions to eventually lead a marketing department. I shared my own more modest background, raised in a middle-class neighborhood in Ohio, decent state college education, and my steady but not particularly glamorous career in software development. "You seem different from most guys I date," she commented while twirling pasta around her fork. "Different good or different bad?" I asked. "Just different. I usually go for more." She paused. "Dynamic personalities, I guess." I would later understand that this was the first red flag I chose to ignore. For 6 months, we dated casually. I planned thoughtful outings based on interests. She mentioned tickets to a photography exhibit after she talked about her college photography class, a surprise picnic at a hidden spot in the city park, and cooking classes. When she mentioned wanting to learn, I remembered details about her family and friends sending her sister a congratulatory text when Amanda mentioned she had gotten a new job. Amanda seemed to enjoy these gestures but rarely reciprocated. When I brought up exclusivity after 3 months, she hesitated. "I am just not sure I am ready for anything serious," she explained. "I like keeping things casual for now." Yet I persisted, believing that with enough patience and devotion she would eventually see what we could build together. After 6 months of this imbalanced pursuit, Amanda finally agreed to make our relationship official. "Fine, let us give this boyfriend-girlfriend thing a try," she said, making it sound more like she was agreeing to try a new restaurant than committing to a relationship. My friend Derek pulled me aside at his barbecue shortly after we became official. "Buddy, I notice you are always the one adapting to what Amanda wants. Does she ever compromise for you?" I defended her immediately. "She is just particular about what she likes. I am more flexible, so it makes sense that I adjust more often." Derek looked unconvinced but dropped the subject. Looking back, I should have paid attention to how Amanda talked about her exes. There was Jordan, the former college baseball player turned sports agent who lived life at 100 miles an hour. There was Nate, the startup founder, who took her on spontaneous weekend trips to Miami and Vegas. And Trevor, the corporate lawyer, who could command any room he walked into. They were all described with a hint of lingering admiration while I was introduced to her friends as Lane, my boyfriend who works in tech. After a year and a half together, we decided to move in together. Or more accurately, I suggested it, and after some deliberation, Amanda agreed. The apartment hunting process revealed more about our relationship dynamic. We chose a neighborhood closer to her office, though it doubled my commute time. The furniture was primarily selected to match her aesthetic preferences. When I suggested a dedicated space for my home office, she countered that we needed a larger entertaining area instead. You can work from the bedroom when I have friends over, she offered as a compromise that did not feel like much of a compromise at all. Still, I adjusted. I believed relationships required sacrifice, and I was willing to make those sacrifices for her. What I failed to recognize was that healthy relationships involve mutual accommodation, not one person constantly reshaping themselves to please the other. There were other warning signs I dismissed. Amanda was reluctant to introduce me to certain groups of her friends, particularly her college friends and work colleagues. When we did attend events with them, she often drifted away to socialize, leaving me to fend for myself. She would occasionally make comments about my career choices, suggesting I lacked ambition. Have you ever thought about transitioning to something more dynamic than debugging code all day, she would ask. My friend Taylor's boyfriend just got headhunted for this amazing fintech startup. Six-figure salary, plus equity. Despite these undercurrents of dissatisfaction, I believed we were building toward a future together. I had started saving for an engagement ring, planning to propose on our upcoming vacation to California. I was certain that Amanda was the one for me, even if I occasionally wondered if I was the one for her. The night everything changed was supposed to be a simple celebration. Our friend Jake was turning 30, and he had rented the back room of an upscale bar downtown for his birthday. Amanda and I arrived together, though she quickly dispersed to mingle, while I chatted with some of the guys about the baseball season. About 2 hours into the party, Amanda waved at me from across the room, pointing at her empty wine glass. I nodded and headed to the bar to get her another Sauvignon Blanc. On my way back, glass in hand, I heard her voice coming from a secluded corner, partially hidden by a decorative screen. She was with 3 of her friends, their heads close together in intimate conversation. "So, are you and Lane thinking about taking the next step?" one of them asked. I slowed my approach, not intending to eavesdrop, but curious about her answer. Amanda's laugh had a dismissive edge I had never heard before. "Lane is safe and stable, but I am definitely settling. I could replace him tomorrow if I wanted to." My hand tightened around the wine glass. Surely I had misheard. "That sounds a little harsh," another friend commented, sounding uncomfortable. "I am just being honest." Amanda continued, unaware of my presence, just feet away. "He is not exactly what I pictured ending up with. No real ambition to make it big. Just average. But he is reliable, treats me well enough, and my parents love him." "So, why stay with him?" a third friend asked. "Because finding someone new takes effort. And Lane requires very little maintenance. He is always trying to please me." She sighed. "Besides, the dating pool is a disaster right now. Better the devil you know, right?" They laughed, though one friend looked visibly uncomfortable. I stood frozen, the wine glass now slick in my sweating palm. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. The room seemed to tilt slightly. All those moments of doubt, all those small comments and behaviors, suddenly aligned into a clear and devastating truth. I was merely a placeholder in Amanda's life. I considered confronting her immediately, but found I could not face her just yet. Not with witnesses. Not while trying to process this revelation. Instead, I set the wine glass on a nearby table and quietly slipped out of the party. The drive home was a blur. My mind replayed years of memories with new understanding, her reluctance to make our relationship official, her tepid responses, to talk of our future, her subtle comparisons to more successful men. I had never been her choice, merely her compromise. When Amanda returned home 3 hours later, she seemed surprised to find me sitting in the dark living room. "Why did you disappear?" "I was looking for my wine," she said casually, kicking off her heels. "Are you happy with me, Amanda?" I asked quietly. She paused, something cautious entering her expression. "What kind of question is that?" "Of course I am. Because I heard what you said to your friends tonight," I continued, my voice surprisingly steady despite the chaos inside me. "About settling for me. About how I am easily replaceable." Her face cycled through several expressions: shock, embarrassment, then defensiveness. "You were eavesdropping on a private conversation. I was bringing you a drink that you asked for." I corrected. "But that is not the point." "Did you mean what you said?" Amanda sighed dramatically, and flopped onto the couch. I was just talking with the girls, Lane. You know how it is. Sometimes we exaggerate for effect. So you did not mean that you are settling for me, that I am not what you pictured ending up with, that I am just average. Her silence was answer enough. Look, she finally said, every relationship involves some compromise. No one gets 100% of what they want. Compromise is about meeting in the middle, Amanda. Not one person settling for less than they want while the other gets everything. She grew frustrated. Why are you making such a big deal about this? It was just girl talk. Because it explains so much, I replied. How you have always kept me at arm's length from certain friends. How you compare me unfavorably to your exes. How you never fully commit to our future plans. That is not fair, she protested, though weakly. As our argument escalated, Amanda grew increasingly defensive. When she could not dismiss my concerns, she tried minimizing her comments. When that failed, she switched tactics. If you cannot handle a little honesty, maybe we should take a break, she finally snapped. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized something had fundamentally changed. The spell was broken. I no longer saw the woman I had put on a pedestal, but someone who had never valued me the way I deserved. Not a break, I said quietly. We are done. Her expression changed instantly from defiance to shock. What? We are done, Amanda. I will not be someone's settlement, someone's safe backup plan. You are overreacting, she insisted, a note of panic entering her voice as she realized I was serious. It was just stupid conversation. No, it was honest conversation. Probably the most honest you have been about our relationship. That night I packed a suitcase with essential items while Amanda cycled between anger, dismissive remarks, and attempts to downplay her comments. By morning I had arranged to stay at Derek's spare room temporarily. As I headed for the door with my suitcase, Amanda stood in the hallway, arms crossed. This is ridiculous, she said. You are throwing away 3 years over one comment. No, I replied. I am finally recognizing what those 3 years actually meant to you. As I closed the door behind me, I felt a complex mixture of emotions, heartbreak certainly, but also a strange sense of liberation. For the first time in 3 years, I was choosing myself. The first week after leaving was the hardest. I cycled through grief, anger, and confusion while crashing on Derek's couch. He gave me space, but checked in regularly, making sure I ate, and occasionally forcing me out for a walk or a beer. You know what the worst part is, I told him one night after a few drinks. I still miss her, even knowing how she saw me. That will fade, Derek assured me. And when it does, you will realize you deserve way better than someone who saw you as a backup plan. After a week of emotional turmoil, I made an appointment with a therapist Derek had recommended. Dr. Lydia Morris specialized in relationship trauma and self-worth issues. Our first session was revelatory. What I am hearing, she said, after I recounted my story, is a pattern of people-pleasing behavior and putting your own needs last. Would you say that is accurate? I had never thought of myself as a people-pleaser, but as we explored my relationship history, not just with Amanda, but with friends and family, the pattern became clear. I had built my self-worth around being useful and accommodating to others, especially romantic partners. We need to work on establishing your intrinsic value, Dr. Morris explained. Your worth is not determined by how much you can do for others or how much they approve of you. Over the next few weeks, we developed a concrete self-improvement plan, focused on 3 key areas: career growth, physical health, and social connections, independent of my relationship with Amanda. For my career, I took a risk I had been avoiding for years, applying for a senior development position at a prestigious tech company known for innovation. The role was remote, which would give me flexibility, and it represented a significant step up in terms of responsibility and compensation. To my shock, after a rigorous interview process, I got the offer with a salary that doubled what I had been making. They were impressed with your portfolio and problem-solving approach during the technical interview, the hiring manager told me. We need developers who think the way you do. For my physical health, I joined a gym near Derek's apartment and hired a personal trainer named Marcus. Our first session was humbling. When was the last time you worked out consistently, he asked, watching me struggle through a set of basic lunges. College, maybe, I admitted, already out of breath. Marcus nodded without judgment. Then, we start from the beginning. Small, consistent steps. We established a 3-day-a-week training schedule, complemented by daily walks and a complete nutrition overhaul. The physical changes came slowly at first, but the mental benefits were immediate. Each session left me tired but more centered, more present in my own body. By the 1-month mark, I had secured my own apartment. Unlike the place I had shared with Amanda, this space reflected my preferences entirely. I chose a unit with large windows and a dedicated office area. I selected furniture that prioritized comfort over aesthetic, though I found I had developed my own sense of style once free to explore it. The walls featured photography I had taken during college, a hobby Amanda had dismissed as not very profitable. I also reconnected with old friends I had drifted away from during my relationship. My college roommate Tanner was now married with a toddler and living just 20 minutes from my new place. We resumed our tradition of weekend basketball games. I reached out to my cousin Beth, who I had always been close with until Amanda commented that Beth was a bit too intense. We met for dinner and talked for hours, rebuilding the connection we had lost. 3 months after the breakup, I had lost 20 pounds, settled into my new job, and developed a routine that prioritized my well-being. I still thought about Amanda daily, but the sharp pain had dulled to an occasional ache. Dr. Morris noted my progress with approval. "You are rebuilding your life around what matters to you," she observed. "That is significant progress." 6 months post-breakup, the transformation was more noticeable. I had completed a half marathon, something I never imagined possible. My confidence at work had grown, resulting in leading a key project that earned recognition from the executive team. I had even started dating casually, though I remained committed to my self-development journey rather than rushing into a new relationship. "What is different about dating now, Doctor?" Morris asked during one of our now bi-weekly sessions. "I pay attention to reciprocity," I explained. "I notice if I am the only one making effort or accommodating the other person. And most importantly, I know I am okay on my own." 9 months after leaving Amanda, I realized something remarkable. I had gone an entire week without thinking about her. The person who had once been the center of my universe had become a distant memory, a lesson learned rather than a wound reopened daily. My new life felt authentic in a way my years with Amanda never had. I pursued interests based on my genuine curiosity, rather than someone else's approval. Photography classes, hiking groups, even improv comedy workshops that terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. I established boundaries in all relationships, communicating my needs clearly, and respecting myself enough to walk away from interactions that felt one-sided. The moment I knew I had truly moved on came unexpectedly. I was hiking a challenging trail outside the city, pushing through the final steep section to reach a stunning viewpoint overlooking the valley. As I stood there catching my breath, taking in the panoramic vista, I was struck by a profound realization. I was genuinely happier now than I had been during my relationship with Amanda. The life I had built for myself after she broke my heart was more fulfilling than the life I had tried to build with her. I no longer defined my worth through someone else's perception. I had shifted from worrying about being good enough for someone else to creating a life that fulfills me regardless of relationship status. That mental transformation was more significant than any external change. Almost exactly 1 year after the breakup, our paths crossed again. At our friends Ryan and Melissa's wedding. I had known the encounter was inevitable, as we shared too many mutual friends to avoid each other forever. Still, I felt a surprising calm as I entered the reception venue. I spotted Amanda almost immediately standing with a group of familiar faces from our shared social circle. She had not noticed me yet. I took a moment to check in with myself, surprised to find no rush of anxiety or lingering pain, just a mild curiosity. When her eyes finally landed on me across the room, her shock was visible even at a distance. I understood why. The physical transformation was significant, yes, but friends later told me it was my overall demeanor that had changed most dramatically. Where I had once carried myself with an apologetic slouch, always trying to take up less space, I now stood straight, comfortable in my own skin. I made my rounds, greeting old friends and catching up. Eventually, Amanda approached me at the bar. Lane, she said, her voice carrying a note of uncertainty I had never heard before. You look amazing. Thanks, I replied simply. How have you been? Good, busy with work. She hesitated. I heard you changed jobs. Someone mentioned a promotion already, I nodded, giving her the basic outline of my career shift without elaboration. Our conversation remained polite but distant throughout the evening. I noticed her watching me as I laughed with friends, as I confidently navigated the dance floor, as I gave a heartfelt toast to the newlyweds. Each time our eyes met, her expression grew more thoughtful, more intense. A week after the wedding, my doorbell rang on a Sunday afternoon. I opened it to find Amanda standing there looking uncharacteristically nervous. Can I come in? She asked. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She stood awkwardly in my living room, taking in the space that reflected nothing of our shared past. This place suits you, she finally said. Thank you. What brings you here, Amanda? She took a deep breath. I made a terrible mistake, Lane. Breaking up was the biggest mistake of my life. I remained silent, waiting for her to continue. I did not appreciate what we had until it was gone, she said, tears forming in her eyes. I dated other men after you men I thought would be more exciting. A trader who worked on Wall Street, a musician, even that startup guy I met at a conference. They were all terrible in different ways. Unreliable, selfish, emotionally unavailable. I am sorry to hear that, I said, genuinely meaning it. Seeing you at the wedding, how much you have changed, how confident you are now. She moved closer. I realized what I threw away. We were good together, Lane. We could be again. I would do anything to get you back. A year ago, these words would have been everything I wanted to hear. Now they simply confirmed how far I had come. Amanda, I said gently, what you are feeling is regret, maybe even genuine care. But it is coming from a place of seeing what you lost, not valuing what you had. That is not true, she protested, tears now falling freely. I always valued you. You settled for me, I reminded her. Those were your words. And now that I have changed, now that others find me desirable, suddenly, you want me back. Do you see the pattern? Her expression shifted from pleading to frustrated. You are punishing me for one stupid comment. I am not punishing you at all, I clarified. I am choosing someone who values me for who I am, not what I can provide or how I make them look. Someone, she asked, her voice hardening. You are seeing someone new. I am choosing myself, I explained. And eventually I will choose someone who sees my worth from day one, not after I am gone. Her demeanor changed again, anger replacing vulnerability. You think you are too good for me now, because you lost some weight and got a better job, I shook my head. I think I deserve someone who does not need to lose me to value me. And so do you, Amanda. After more tears, more accusations, and finally a resigned acceptance, Amanda prepared to leave. At the door, she turned back one last time. I really am sorry, Lane. For what I said, for how I treated you, I took you for granted. I know, I replied. And strangely enough, I am grateful. She looked confused. If I had not overheard you that night, I might never have found the courage to walk away. I might have spent years, maybe even a lifetime, with someone who saw me as a safe second choice. So in an odd way, your honesty was a gift. It hurt terribly, but it set me free. I watched her leave, feeling a sense of closure that had been missing. Our final conversation was not what she had hoped for. But it was what we both needed, a clean end to a chapter of my life that had served its purpose. 6 months later, I met Elise at a photography workshop. Unlike my cautious start with Amanda, our connection was mutual and enthusiastic from the beginning. She was a pediatric nurse with a passion for landscape photography and terrible puns that made me laugh until my sides hurt. Most importantly, she saw and valued me exactly as I was, not as a project to improve or a safe harbor, until something better came along. The contrast between my relationship with Elise and my past with Amanda highlighted an important truth: being valued is not about becoming what someone else wants, but finding someone who wants what you already are. Looking back on that painful night when I overheard Amanda's dismissive words, I now recognize it as the beginning of my real life, not the end of it. Sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is showing you exactly who they are, even when it hurts. The pain of rejection led me to self-discovery and ultimately to authentic happiness. Have you ever had to rebuild yourself after someone undervalued you? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life journeys of overcoming relationship challenges. And do not forget to share this video with someone who might be struggling to walk away from a relationship where they are not truly valued. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, being replaceable to the wrong person only opens the door to being irreplaceable to the right one.